All right, all right. Welcome everybody. Welcome to our vision board workshop. I'm going to go ahead and start streaming. I'm start streaming sharing my screen. Hang on a second. Let me see if I got my screen up. Um, Technology. Got to love it. Here we go. Share. All right. All right. So welcome to our 3-day vision board workshop where we're going to build a bridge from our dreams to reality. If you have not registered, I invite you to register. The link is posted there at the bottom of the screen because we have a workbook that you will get when you register. And this workbook is really for you to work through and explore what it is that you want more of in your life so that you can plan your life around that. My name is Donnie Alvarenga, and I just happen to be one of the hosts of this event, along with several other coaches. And as we talk about vision boards, and because it is the beginning of the end of the year, beginning of the year season, if you will, a lot of times people get a little confused and think that a vision board is planning the next year. And could it be used for that? Sure, it could be used for that. But this workshop is going to be a little bit different. This is not about creating resolutions, okay? According to an article by Forbes that was put out recently, 62% of Americans feel pressured to create and set resolutions. And of those 62, only about 36, under 40% of them actually set those resolutions. Now, of those people that create resolutions, only about 8% of them are still at it at the end of the 1 month. And by the end of 4 months, only about 13% of people are still at it. And so there's a little bit of resolutions have become a little bit of a joke. Okay. Actually, January 17 is the official ditch New Year's resolutions day. And the second Friday in January is known as Quitter's Day. And I am all about setting goals any time of the year. I am all about crushing goals any time of the year. But the challenge that comes from us setting these goals just because we have to, right? Because it's New Year's and it's resolution time. The challenge with setting these kinds of goals is that if we do fall off the horse, if we do decide to put our goals off by the second Friday of the month, there's a challenge that we start talking to ourselves and saying that we can't achieve what we want. And that is the furthest thing from the truth. But if we start believing that, it starts becoming true for us. Okay. And so for this reason, my recommendation this year is that you ditch the resolutions and that you embrace the idea of a vision board. Now, why is it that resolutions kind of flop? There's many, many reasons, and we can spend probably the entire time talking about just that. But I personally believe that the reason that we don't pursue the things that are important to us is because we lose sight, okay, of what we want, of how much it matters to us, and what we are capable of because of that negative self-talk that we might entertain, okay? And what a vision board does, it actually helps keep us focused. So as I mentioned, my invitation to you this year is to skip the resolutions and get focused instead, okay? And then use a vision board to keep what's important to you in focus. So this week, what we're hoping to do is to empower you to expand your horizons, get clear on what you want, on the things that are important to you, unlock abundance so that you can start dreaming bigger, break through limits that will uncover your true desires, not just the ones that are just enough, but what you really, really want. And what we want to ultimately do is help you pave the path for achievement. So today, we're going to be talking about unlocking abundance. Tomorrow, we're going to be talking about breaking through limitations to uncover your desires, the typo there, and your true desires. And day number 3 is going to be us creating a roadmap to success. Now, I posted the registration link down below, and I invite you to register so that you can access your workbook. And the other perk of registration is that this event is being streamed on Facebook right now into the Microshift Masters page. If you are seeing value in this, we invite you to share it with others. But what we're going to be doing is at the end of the presentation, we're going to stop streaming and we're going to actually start working through the workbook. This workbook is designed for you to actually start designing your life. And so there's no answer key to it. There's no right or wrong answers. It's about what's important to you. And what happens is that you have made the time to join us tonight. And I want to give you mad props for that. And if you've made the time to join us, this is the time for you to spend some time brainstorming. And so I invite you to like allow your creative juices to start flowing. I invite you to be fully present so that you can take advantage of this time to really map out not only this next year, but the rest of your life. So as I mentioned, I am all for goals, okay? But there's a difference between dreams and goals. Think of your life like the ocean, okay? It's huge, right? It's huge potential in the ocean. Now, goals are like those buoys. You see the seals or whatever, sea lions, I'm not quite sure what animals those are, but they're kind of they're using is it buoys? I'm not quite sure if that's how you pronounce that word, but they're using those as like a pit stop. It's a place that you can kind of stay afloat. And goals are important. Once again, I am not knocking goals, but goals can actually limit us. And as I've mentioned, if you don't have some skills under your belt, if you don't hit a goal, you can start sabotaging yourself with the stories that you tell yourself. Now, obviously, you can learn the skills to navigate that, but there's a difference between those goals and the dreams, which are like the horizon. If you look at this horizon, you will see that it is full of possibility, right? It makes me wonder what is out there. Like, what is that city that's out there? And I think that there's a couple of clues. And if you can see any clues as to what city it is, by all means, type it down below. But I specifically chose a picture that had stuff out there so that we can remember that the horizon is pregnant with possibility and it is limitless. Okay. So as important as goals are, as their landmarks in the pursuit of dreams, the horizon kind of keeps you excited for more. And that's what we want to talk about today. We want to talk about the horizon, which is what is possible and what is it that's important to you. Now, if you have ever missed a resolution or if you have ever missed a goal and you already have those voices in your head telling you what you can or can't accomplish or what is or isn't possible for you, today is going to be critical. Because today we're going to give you 2 keys to unlock abundance so that you can learn how to dream bigger, how to allow yourself to want more. And I'm going to go ahead and read this quote for you because it kind of outlines some of those keys. So unlocking abundance is a journey, not a destination. It's about embracing your dreams, harnessing the power of visualization, and nurturing an attitude of gratitude. And so the 2 keys to unlocking abundance is visualization and gratitude. And I did cite this as a Dr. A quote, but that is a typo as well. And so for those of you that are watching, I'll type in the correct source when I'm done here. But either way, the point is this, is that visualization and gratitude are 2 keys that will unlock abundance. Visualization is the ability to form a mental image. Okay. And so if you close your eyes and you kind of can imagine a place that you love, you know, your favorite place to go, or maybe a favorite memory. Okay. That is what visualization is. You can kind of go back to things that you've been to, but this is what's really cool about visualization is that you can actually create something as well. And the point of a vision board is that it kind of becomes a tangible representation of that image that you were able to create in your mind when your creativity might be like drained a little bit. Okay. So the vision board allows you to keep that vision visible when your creativity is tired. Okay. So what happens with visualization is that it bolsters creativity. Your mind is incredibly powerful. If we were to use the power that we have available to us, really, there's no limit to what we would be able to accomplish. But as I've mentioned, most of us are over the age of 5, right? And most of us have fallen down a couple times or missed a goal a couple times. And we have some automatic conversations that have been going on that have started to put a lid on what we think is possible or what we're allowed to want. Okay. But when you start thinking about visualization, it allows you to start getting creative with what might be possible. Like in your mind, anything is possible, right? You can take a vacation to the moon. And the truth of the matter is that there are people out there that have visualized that and are actually manifesting that as we speak, right? There's people that are trying to go to space on vacation, and not even a century ago, I don't think, people weren't even able to fly. Okay. And so what goes on in your mind, the possibilities are endless. And so visualization actually allows that creativity to start flowing. And when you start imagining something new, okay, it sparks some hope that whatever is right now could be different. And as long as you have hope, then you can actually start building the courage to achieve that. Like I mentioned, probably not even a century ago. I need to look and see when was it that, airplanes and flying actually became a thing, because I think that we're probably close to the century mark, but it's not that long ago, right? That people were crazy enough to try to jump off of buildings. That took courage. Okay. And what visualization does after it births that hope is that it builds your courage to try something new. It has to come after the hope, right? It has to come after that creativity. But once you start seeing it and you start seeing that just maybe things could be different than what you have right now, then it starts building on that courage so that you can try something new. And as you build the courage, you start learning how to navigate the negativity that maybe your brain has been used to before. All of the naysaying thoughts that say you can't, you shouldn't, it's not reasonable, you should be happy with all of those thoughts. Okay. Or if you jump off a building, gravity is going to prove it works, right? But at some point, somebody proved that with the right tools, with the right level of creativity, with the right hope and courage, we were able to fly, right? And that is what we're hoping to build upon this week. Okay. So what are some benefits of visualization? Well, as I mentioned before, because you can see it, it enhances your focus. Okay. And what does it mean to be focused? It means that you are like clearly putting your attention on a specific thing. Okay. That you're not paying attention to all of the things that are going on around. And what happens is that life has enough things that can distract us. And when you have a vision board, it reminds you of what you want so that it enhances your focus. It reminds you of what you want and why it's important so that you are motivated. And because you're motivated, it ultimately is a tool that can lead you to success. Now, if you know this gentleman on the screen, go ahead and type his name down below, right? Because Jim Carrey actually used visualization as a tool for success. I actually have a video interview of him with Oprah Winfrey, and I'd love for you guys to hear his story in his own words. Let's see if I can open this up. Here we go.
You used to go up on Mulholland Drive and park
every night
and visualize seeing yourself as...
Yeah, I would visualize,
This is when you were broke and poor.
Right, having directors interested in me and people that I respected saying, you know, I like your work or whatever that is, and I would visualize things coming to me that I wanted or whatever.
This was in like 1987, 85.
Yeah.
So didn't you write yourself a check? I heard that
Yeah.
you did. Is that
I
true?
wrote myself a check for $10 million for acting services rendered, and I gave myself 5 years, or 3 years maybe, and I dated it Thanksgiving 1995, and I put it in my wallet and I kept it there, and it deteriorated and stuff. But then, just before Thanksgiving 1995, I found out that I was going to make $10 million on, I think it was Dumb and Dumber.
Dumb and Dumber, yeah.
Yeah.
So you visualize yourself.
Now, I love that story because it's just highlights the reality. Ooh.
내가 얘기할게.
Okay. It highlights the reality of the power of visualization. Okay. Now, Jim Carrey didn't just write himself a check. He actually put it in his wallet, and it deteriorated because he messed with it often. In the first part of the video where the volume was a little down, Oprah asks him about how he used to go to Mulholland Drive every day to visualize a life there. I didn't even know what Mulholland Drive was. I had to look it up, but apparently it's where a lot of rich and famous people live. And the other thing I love about that interview is he talked about visualizing people being attracted to him, or the important people coming into his life and seeing value in what he had to offer, right? And he did that regularly. He did it, not only did he do it regularly, but he had tangible where he would drive a place to see. He had it in his wallet to see. And that is what a vision board does. It creates a tangible thing that reminds you of what you want and why it's important. So, what is the purpose? As I mentioned, the purpose of a vision board is to remind us of what we want, to remind us why it's important, and to remind us that the price of that thing that we want is worth it. You know, Jim Carrey did not write that check expecting that it was going to happen this year. It wasn't a resolution. It was him knowing what he wanted. He wanted people to recognize his talent, and he wanted people to value his talent so much that he wrote himself a $10 million check, he said, right? Now, that is big thinking. That is abundant thinking. And that is what I invite you to challenge and play with this week, to start getting clear on those big, big things that you want. Now, this is the deal. Jim Carrey probably had to encounter some rejection, right? Before he got to that $10 million check. He had to encounter, you know, as Oprah asked, that's when you were poor and broke, right? He was poor and broke. And so he was willing to pay the price for the thing that he was visualizing because he knew what it would mean to him. He knew how important it was to him. He knew the kind of impact that he would make on the world. So Oprah actually says, be thankful for what you have, and you'll end up having more. If you concentrate on what you don't have, you'll never, ever have enough. So as I mentioned, there are two keys that we were going to be talking about today to unlocking abundance, right? And the first one is visualization. Now, this whole week is about us putting together a vision board, and we're going to be talking about how it is that we can think bigger, dream bigger, so that we can put things on a vision board that will motivate us and encourage us and inspire us to get into action. Because there is a danger of the idea of just visualize it to manifest. Like if you sit on your couch just dreaming and thinking and visualizing about the thing you want, it will never come true. I actually remember a story of a gentleman that was trying to visualize himself making millions and millions of dollars. And he sat in his office for hours visualizing. And one time he got out of his office, and he saw that the lawn hadn't been mowed. And his son was in his room laying on the bed. And he said, "What happened to the lawn?" He said, "Dad, I'm just visualizing the lawn getting mowed." Right? So you can't just sit there and visualize it and expect it's going to happen. That's not going to happen. And that's not what we're talking about. But we are talking about utilizing visualization and utilizing a vision board as a tool that will compel you into action, because it's going to remind you that the work required to achieve that big goal you want, that big thing that's important to you, is worth it. Okay, that's what we're talking about. Now, also gratitude, as Oprah said, it opens up the potential for more. Okay, and so that's the second tool that we want to talk about. What happens is that gratitude expands, it expands on your sense of confidence and possibility. So when you stop and think about all of the things that you are grateful for, you kind of remind yourself what you're capable of, and that builds your confidence. And when you have a little bit of more confidence, you start wanting more. And that's where expanding your sense of possibility comes into play. Gratitude also liberates you from comparison and envy. So when you're thinking about all the things that you're grateful for, you stop worrying about all of the things that everybody else has that you don't. Okay. And that frees up your brain space and it frees up your energy to dream bigger instead of limiting yourself by seeing what somebody else has and what you don't. I love Oprah's quote, because the more you focus on what you don't have, the less you'll have. And yet, if you focus on the gratitude of what you do have, you open yourself up for more. And these are some of the ways how: by building up your confidence, expanding your possibility, liberating you from comparison and envy. Now, because when you're grateful, you start seeing the things that you have already been able to achieve, that you've already been able to acquire, right? It kind of builds a sense of contentment and security. And when you feel secure and you feel content, that actually makes you bolder. And when you are bolder, you allow yourself to want more. Now, gratitude also helps you identify your true desires. And as I've mentioned, a lot of us have bumped our head against the wall. A lot of us have fallen off the wagon. A lot of us have set goals that we haven't achieved for whatever reason. And we've had conversations with ourselves that we may or may not even be aware of. And so all of a sudden, we start limiting what we allow ourselves to want. Now, when you focus on what you are grateful for, it starts highlighting and focusing the things that are important to you. And once you know the things that are important to you, that helps uncover and dig out those things that you really, really want, your true heart desires. And that can only be done if you spend some time in gratitude. Also, as you celebrate what you're grateful for, how much you already have, it also starts reducing fear and resistance. And when you reduce fear, that by definition makes you fearless. And if you're fearless, you're more willing to try something new. You're more willing to step outside the box. You're more willing to take risks. And when you do that, you're able to build bigger. Living with intention means saying no to the things that aren't important to us so we can say yes to what matters most. And what we hope to do this week is to help you expose all of those things that matter most to you. What is it that is most important to you in your life? And once you're clear on that thing, whatever that might be, those things, whatever they may be, they end up serving as kind of like a true north. So that as you go through life, instead of having a resolution, a specific target that you're working towards, a specific like deadline that you're working towards, right? What you have is a true north that guides every decision every day. I was honored to be able to listen to, oh gosh, I just drew a blank, John Maxwell earlier this year. And I loved how he talked about, yeah, there's a time and place for goals, but he talks about how it's so much more important to be growth minded than it is to be goal minded. And he was bold enough to say that he's actually never actually set a goal for himself. And he is one of the most prolific and most renowned authors, right? And he just happens to know what's most important to him. And he uses that as that guide in the choices that he makes on a daily basis. And so therefore, he ends up planning his life around what matters most to him. And that's what we hope to empower you to do, is to plan your life around what matters most to you. Now, we invite you to join us back tomorrow, where we're going to be talking about how to break through those limiting beliefs, those limiting thoughts that have been talking to you for so long, how to even hear their voices and then shut them down so that we can actually uncover our true desires. Tomorrow, we're going to start outlining those after we have gone through the activities in this book, which include unlocking abundance by practicing gratitude. So for those of you that have registered, we invite you to stay on. For those of you that have not registered, we invite you to register this so that you can join us tomorrow in our more intimate powwow time, so that we can actually do the work of identifying what is it that matters to you and how you can move closer to it. So with that, I'm going to wish you a good night, and we'll see you back tomorrow for those of you that have not registered. See here.